Well, hello there, my single mother tribe. How are you doing? My name is Hope, and I'm your fairy single godmother for those of you who don't know me. And I would like to thank you for joining me for another episode of Check-In Wednesday. Well, we are just around the corner from Christmas. We survived Thanksgiving, and we have Christmas and New Year's to go. And I just want to, ask if you may be feeling anxious about the holidays, or you just might be stressed out because of shopping or whatever the case may be. Well, stick around in this episode. I am going to continue my series on stress management for single mothers, and I'm going to give you some pointers to help you decompress and de-stress and even reduce or eliminate your stress altogether, okay? But before I get started, for those of you who are joining me via Hope for Single Mothers YouTube channel, go right ahead and click that subscribe button if you haven't done so already. I so appreciate all of my subscribers, and I thank you so much for your support. And if you are joining me via Hope for Single Mothers Facebook group, hello tribe, how are you ladies doing? I thank you so much for your support as well. And to remind you that after this video, we will be picking up the conversation and continuing it on in our chat room, okay? So don't forget to watch the video, and then later on today we're going to pick it up and we're going to continue our conversation in our group chat at 8 o'clock, okay? So we've been having some juicy discussions, and we've just been really getting down to the nitty and gritty. And I just thank you so much for those of you who've been joining me and even participating. You don't have to do it, so I really do appreciate your participation and your support, okay? Well, so, oh, and I almost forgot as well, for YouTube subscribers, if you can go ahead and click that bell for me, that way every time I upload a new video, you will be notified, okay? Okay, now we can move on to our stress management topic today. So like I said, I've been, for the past couple of weeks, I think this will be week 3, that I've been talking about stress management for single mothers. And in week 1, I'm just going to kind of summarize, just in case you weren't able to watch my previous videos. In week 1, I pretty much just kind of gave you a breakdown of the different types of stress. And there are 3 types of stress. There's acute stress. There is episodic acute stress. And then there's chronic stress. So as in my previous video, I explained that how with acute stress, basically acute stress is what it is. It's like an onset of stress, and it could either be good or bad. And with acute stress, like I said, and I did also discuss and, discuss the differences between a good stress and bad stress. So we discussed in, I believe, week 1, that not all stress is bad. In fact, stress is really our body's natural way of responding to a challenge, to a scare, or to a threat. So, for acute stress, you may have heard of the fight or flight. So whenever our body is sensing some type of threat or some type of challenge or scare, our body will naturally go into a fight or flight. Basically, which just means that a whole bunch of hormones, our body will set off or pump out a whole bunch of hormones to just help us get through whatever that trigger or whatever that stressor was. Usually with acute stress, unless it's really traumatic, if it's severe, acute stress, something that happened that was traumatic, that's the only time that it will, linger and cause other issues such as PTSD and other issues. But usually with acute stress, like I said, it comes and it goes. Usually after whatever the stressor was is dealt with, it'll go away. And like I said, with acute stress, it could be good or bad. It could be good in the sense that, it will be that pressure that you may feel if you have like a deadline that you have to meet. So you'll get that adrenaline rush and that motivation to finish that paper, to meet that deadline, to give that speech, to do whatever it is that you may have to do. And then after that's done, that acute stress should go away. It's not common for acute stress to linger. If acute stress lingers, then it can over time turn into chronic stress, which is absolutely not good for our bodies. And I explained in the first video how our bodies were not created to function in chronic stress. Day to day, stress with no relief. That is not normal. And there are health issues and health complications that can arise as a result of living in chronic stress. Okay. So now that I explained to you what acute stress is, episodic acute stress basically is the stress. It's a little bit more lingering. It's not like acute, where acute comes and goes based upon what the situation is or whatever the stressor or the trigger was. With episodic, basically is what it is. You've heard of people having like episodes of anxiety or fear. With episodic stress, it's more frequent, but it's not as frequent to be considered chronic stress. And with this, you may, see more symptoms of irritability. With episodic stress, it affects your mood more or less than it would with acute stress. So if you're moody, if you're irritable, if you're angry, if you have fits of anger, or just flip out in and out, that usually is symptoms of episodic stress, because like I said, it's a little bit more lingering. It's kind of like borderline, not quite chronic stress, because even usually with episodic acute stress, basically with that type of stress, those are more or less environmentally triggered. So basically those are some external triggers. And then once you figure out what your triggers are, it could help you reduce or even eliminate that type of stress. Okay. So I've gone over acute stress. I've gone over episodic stress. Now I want to get into chronic stress. Now, chronic stress is that bad stress. It's that stress that never goes away. It's that stress, like I said, that day in and day out type of stress that seems to never lift. And it's that more severe type of stress that can put you into, like I said, set you into depression. It can set you into really severe anxiety. It can, put you into insomnia. So, and even begin to affect your health. And as I explained last week, is that with the chronic stress, it really affects our nervous system. And how with me, having not dealt years ago, not properly dealing with stress in my life, that even for me, I was affected with that type of chronic stress. And as a result, I had my dealings with fibromyalgia and even MS, and just a lot of, issues with my body. A lot of autoimmune diseases are triggered by chronic stress. So that's I don't know why I'm getting tongue-tied tonight. Maybe I need to just slow down. I said I was going to cut down the length of my videos so that you ladies will have an opportunity to watch them. So in the midst of me trying to, talk fast, I am getting my own self tongue-tied. So I'm going to slow it down a little bit for the sake that you can understand what I'm saying. I can hear and understand what I'm saying, and so that I will sound more fluent. Okay. Anyway, so as I was saying, with the chronic stress, you have more major severe side effects, or not even side effects, but you have symptoms. So like I said, such as heart disease and high blood pressure, even, different types of diabetes, either A or B. Those can be kind of triggered by chronic stress as well, because, some people, and you may be a stress eater. Some people, instead of getting headaches or being irritable or flipping out or, yelling or, whatever, getting angry, they may deal with, and I used to be a stress eater. However, when I was, younger, especially when I was going through separation back and forth and divorce, I can remember when I was in my 20s, I dealt with, stress a lot when I was going through with my previous marriage. And during that time, I lost my appetite. Yeah. So it was nothing for me I could remember, being under so much stress. I'm not saying it's good, but I know for you ladies who are like, whoa, that would be nice to just, lose weight without, even thinking about it. Just, off of stress alone. But I could remember literally going to sleep, waking up 5-10 pounds, you know, lighter or thinner. And I'm not kidding, no joke. And because my body was just under that much duress and distress, that's not healthy. That is not healthy. I wouldn't go back to that place again, even to slim down. I just wouldn't do it because, like I said, just the psychological and mental exhaustion that comes with that is just not even worth it. But anyway, so I'm saying all this to say is that basically with chronic stress, it is not good stress. And it causes, you know, really negative, bad, and even harmful, you know, symptoms and side effects. So basically with chronic stress, you know, you want to deal with that head on. And there's different ways of dealing with the chronic stress. You know, I'm going to touch on it today, but I really want to get into the symptoms and even, you know, what you can do to reduce or even eliminate those type of stressors. But today I want to kind of dig in a little bit deeper and talk about the stressors, because I know last week I kind of touched on them, but I really want to get deeper into them this week. So basically what stressors are triggers that would cause your stress. So, and I did mention, you know, some categories of, you know, different types of stressors. I mentioned how, you know, there's environmental stressors, there's external stressors, there's internal stressors, there's biological and chemical stressors. And basically with biological and chemical stressors, those are the type of stressors that, you know, are caused basically due to either, you know, your makeup, basically your personality, or basically, you know, a lot of people just come from a stress, you know, family, you know, everyone's stressed out. So, you know, stress can, believe it or not, stress can be passed down. It could be passed down. I don't know, you know, a lot of times I know when my children were babies and much younger or older, women will always tell me specifically, my mother would tell me, you know, watch how you act around the babies, because babies can pick up that type of stress. If you're under stress, or if you're angry, or if you're sad, babies can kind of pick up that emotion, and you don't want to project that on to your babies. And even now, you know, people, you know, can pick up on other people's stress, and stress is contagious. And so, you know, like I said, with the biological stress, basically that's just your makeup. That's your biological makeup. It may have, you know, been passed down, you know, through hereditary, or, you know, it may just be a part of your personality and your makeup. You just might be, you know, a naturally, and I used to be this way. I would like to think that I'm a little bit, I'm way more laid back. I used to be super, super, super serious in my younger years. Didn't know how to have fun. And those type of uptight people tend to be, you know, more stressed out, or, you know, more easily affected by stress, you know. And so I find that with the laid back kind of free spirited people that kind of just, you know, just chill and relax almost, you know, they don't seem to have a care in the world. Those are the ones that are just, you know, they're not stressed out about anything. Oh, you know, they don't have a care in the world. And I find myself more like that nowadays. I mean, within the last several years, I've become a very carefree type of person. I used to be a worrywart. I used to worry about everything. Like I said, because I was so meticulous and wanted things to be so perfect and so planned and so methodical. And all of that, and that was, you know, my personality makeup. But even within that, and I know that those are some traits that God has given me for a specific reason and purpose, but I think I was more or less on the extreme of those things. So once I had to kind of chill and kind of calm it down and knock it down a couple of notches, I'm really, you know, like I said, experiencing less stress, if not any stress whatsoever. I have literally learned, and it's taken me quite a long time to just learn how to just chill and relax and just rest in God. You know, I have posted yesterday that there is an unexplainable, undescribable type of joy and peace that you experience when you're resting in God. And that's what I'm experiencing in the season of my life, and I really don't believe it's just a season, but I expect to just live life like this from this point on. And so basically, I'm just learning how to let things go, especially things that are beyond my control, things that I can't control, like people and certain circumstances, to just let it go. The Bible talks about, take no thought for tomorrow. Don't spend your time worrying, because worrying is not going to add a minute or a second to your day. Actually, it's going to take away from that. And I've learned through, just life experiences that things have a way of just working themselves out. Like if you just be patient, if you just cast your cares on the Lord, if you just, make a conscious decision and be intentional about just, remaining in peace, that you will find out that things will just work out on its own. And usually it works out in your favor. I remember when I was younger, I used to get so bent out of shape over things. And I mean, literally, I would wear myself out mentally and even physically, because like I said, stress is both mental and physical. It affects our minds, but once our minds are exhausted, our bodies become exhausted. And I could just remember, like I said, just being so exhausted and tired all the time. That's because I was just not resting. And I'm not talking about physical rest. I'm talking about resting my mind. I wasn't resting in God. I wasn't casting my cares. I wasn't, just, having the mindset that, what, things are going to work itself out. And me worrying about it and can't do anything about it is not going to change the situation. So I might as well just maintain my peace and, and just, choose not to stress myself out or allow, like I said, external things that I can't control anyway to stress me out. So yeah, I said all that to say, like I said, I'm just living a different type of life ever since I've learned how to manage my stress. And unfortunately, I can't say that I had to do it willingly. I had to learn stress management in order to stay healthy. I really believe that I probably wouldn't be here, or if so, I would not be living, I would not be living a really, I don't know, I wouldn't be living a really comfortable life. When I say comfortable, meaning I wouldn't be enjoying life as I'm enjoying it now, had I not changed some things about how I manage my stress, had I not, begin to cast my cares upon the Lord and just stop worrying about stuff and just let some things just work itself out. That's going to work itself out anyway, And I don't honestly think that if I would have stayed uptight and just, so high strung all the time and just so easily, moved by situations and circumstances and even people, that I would be sitting here right here talking to you healthy and happy and just living a really full and fulfilled life. I don't think that would be my testimony today. So basically, like I said, with the stress management, I know that, just being a single mother is stressful enough. And we're just, I could just be transparent and candid with you. When you think about, the finances, when you think about the kids and, kids act up and, and just all of that, when you think about work, when you think about balancing your work life, your home life, your finances, relationships, and all of that, and just all the hats we wear and the responsibilities that we carry, that's enough of stress right there within itself, just me talking about it. But there is a way, like I said, that we as single mothers can live a healthy lifestyle. We don't have to be stressed out all the time. We don't have to be anxious all the time. We don't have to be depressed all the time. But it's going to require for us to take, to be responsible for the management of our own stress. Nobody is going to do that. It's not anyone else's responsibility but ours. Okay. And so I had to take it in my hands. I had to, like I said, it had to be more intentional. I had to leave some things alone. I had to let some things go, and I had to kind of just change my perspective and how I looked at things and how I did things. One in particular, I'm a very meticulous and neat person. I've come from a very meticulous and neat home, and I'm quite sure you can relate to me. When as a child, cleaning just living in my parents' home, You know, my parents' home was so clean that you could eat off the floor. I'm talking about squeaky clean. My parents did not play. They did not believe in dishes being in the sink. I can remember many a nights my dad would come home from work and wake me up in the wee hours of the morning. Sometimes it wasn't the kind of waking up that I would have preferred. To, you know, because I hadn't done my chores, dishes, he'd come home and dishes is in the sink because I fell away to sleep and forgot to do the dishes. You know, my parents didn't play. They didn't do that. And so when you come up like that, when you come up where, you know, in that type of home where everything has to be clean, everything has to be perfect, everything has to be right, you kind of, that, you know, you kind of catch that. And so having 5 children and kind of being borderline OCD-ish just don't go together. Those two are not a good combination. And I spent years, I'm telling you years, and I've gotten better. I have more of a tolerance before I would, you know, kind of just flip out. I'll let it kind of go a little bit longer than I used to, only because I have to have peace in my life. And if I'm hollering and screaming and fussing every day, that's not peace for me. I've had to compromise with the kids, so to speak. And I'm talking about meticulous stuff. I'm talking about just being anal about certain things. I'm not talking about, you know, house looking a hot mess. You know, it's just looking like a zoo. You know, I'm not talking, or a pig pen. I am not talking about that. I am not co-signing for that. I'm talking about when you're just meticulous about stuff, like stuff has to be in a certain order. It has to be a certain way. I remember when my kids were old enough to start folding laundry, that I would go back behind them and refold because I had been programmed, or for so many years, there was a certain way I folded sheets. There was a certain way I folded towels. There was just a certain way I did things. And if it wasn't done exactly the way I had done it myself or wanted it to be done, I would go behind my kids all the time. I would go behind them and re-clean the bathroom, redo their chores. It was their responsibility to do their chores, but because I was so anal and so meticulous, I would literally go be right behind them and re-clean it the way that I wanted it to be cleaned, just so that I would be okay. Yeah, that is craziness. I wore myself out. Let me tell you, I wore myself out. So, so as they got older, you know, I'm going to school, I'm going to work, ministry, all of that. I just had, you know, it was just like, okay, Hope, either you're going to be flat out of your mind because, you know, clearly the world is not going to end if the sheets are folded wrong, or if the towels are folded wrong, or they're put in a linen closet, you know, everything is not lined up or whatever. You know, it's just like, you know, get over yourself. Come on now. So I had to learn how to compromise in those areas and realize that my kids are not going to do things exactly the way that I would do them. My house, if somebody else cleans it, mainly my kids, is not going to be clean the way I would clean it because they're not me. So I just had to, you know, for the sake of my own peace, I just had to let it go. I had to let it go. Say with me, let it go. Because some of you are literally driving yourself insane because of the little things, not necessarily the big things. The little things are driving you up the wall. So I'm going to set you free tonight and just, you know, help you out. So just let it go. Like I said, if it's not life or death, you know, if it's not principle behind it, because there's a principle behind our children doing chores. There's a principle behind their, you know, them keeping their rooms, you know, clean, and them, you know, picking up after themselves. Those are principles that are going to carry on and follow them throughout life. If it's not a principle, let it go. And if it's not putting you in danger or anyone else in danger, let it go. Okay? Save yourself the stress and just let it go. Okay? Yes, I don't know why I said that, but maybe somebody needs to hear that. Okay? Anyway, so as I was saying, so, you know, I really want to, you know, just kind of zoom in on chronic stress, because when you look around today, oh my gosh, so many people are suffering from anxiety and depression and so many, like I said, autoimmune diseases. I have never in my time of living, seeing so many people being diagnosed with lupus and fibromyalgia and MS. And I'm talking about young women. I'm not talking about, older, elderly, women. I'm talking about women in their 20s and 30s being diagnosed with these autoimmune diseases. And I honestly believe it's because of lack of stress management. Like I said, I was right there. You could have almost checked off a good amount of autoimmune diseases that I had suffered from in the past. And I honestly believe that it was directly linked to stress and the level of stress in my life at that time. But like I said, I am living carefree, and I'm a different person. I've learned how to manage stress in my life. I've learned the triggers, and that's what I would like to talk to you. I believe that when we find out or kind of just be a little bit more aware of what our triggers are, then it can help us to reduce or even eliminate stress altogether. Like I said, if, there's some things you're just going to have to let go. When our kids were younger, and even now, because they still don't clean the house like I would like them to. They still don't do their chores the way I would do it. They still don't fold clothes like I would fold clothes. But like I said, that was a compromise. That's something I had to just let go for the sake of maintaining my own peace. Okay. So, and those were triggers for me, but they're not anymore. And like I said, there's sometimes when things may go undone for a long time. If you have teenagers, you know exactly what I'm talking about. If you don't, just keep on living. The babies are going to turn into teenagers eventually. And you too will be able to relate with me and what I'm going through right now. But yeah, so so like I said, if it's some minor things, just just let it go. But with the chronic stress, like I said, I've never in my entire years, I mean, I'm still young. I'm not trying to say it like I'm old or anything. I'm 43 years old, but in all my adult years so far, I've never seen such a rise. So many people suffering from autoimmune diseases and high blood pressure and heart disease and just so many ailments of the body. Like I said, I believe it's directly cancer and just so much. When you think about all these diseases, and so many, the high alarming rate of people that are suffering from these diseases. And when you think about, how stress is, us as a country, the United States of America, we're probably the most stressed out country, in the world. And so there is a correlation between high stress rates, high disease rates. There is a correlation between that. Okay. So like I said, I had to learn how to manage my stress. I had to learn with different triggers, to learn how to reduce those triggers or even eliminate them. And like I said, for me, some of them was just as simply as just compromising, just as, tweaking some things and just learning how to adjust. I had to learn and realize that my children are not me. So for me to expect for them to do exactly what I do, how I do it, that was just unrealistic. And that was setting my own self up for stress, Stressors can also be a result of life changes. And so, things are constantly changing. Nothing is ever the same, even I would like to say from day to day. We live in a world that is constantly changing. Technology is constantly advancing. So there's some things that just can't be controlled. And so we just going to have to learn how to shift, how to adjust, and not to be so rigid, which I can honestly say years ago, that was me too. I would not budge. I would not change. I used to be so bullheaded and so strong-willed. It was just ridiculous. But I was miserable too. I was so miserable. I was so stressed out, and I was so unhappy because I was just unwilling to change and adjust in areas of my life that required me to change. And like I said, with stress, basically stress is just our body's way of responding to change, responding to adjustments, responding to, some things that may be out of our control. And so I had to learn how to stop being so rigid and how to be a little bit more accepting. It didn't have to always be my way or no way at all. but I had to learn how to compromise, and I had to learn how to meet people, halfway, and not, expect so much. I think that's the biggest lesson probably that I've learned, that has just set me on a different path as far as just living life in such a better way, and just experiencing life in such a beautiful way, is that I had to release people from unrealistic expectations, because I was literally setting myself up for disappointment and failure every time, because I had so many high demands on people, and even myself. I had to release my own self of the high expectations. I mean, it's good to want to achieve, it's good to want to accomplish things, it's good to want the best, and for us to aspire and push ourselves to the best. But when I mean unrealistic expectations, as far as the time frame that we give ourselves to accomplish those things, how we feel it should be done, our perception of how we think it should happen. If it doesn't happen this way, then it's not going to happen any other way. Or, those are limiting and restrictions that we place on ourselves and other people. And it's not realistic. It is not realistic, So once I released myself from all of that, and just, like I said, begin to meet people halfway, to begin to, you really do some self-evaluating and some self-evaluation, to kind of just be honest with myself and not push myself beyond my limits, not push myself to the point of sickness and being stressed out and being miserable, but to acknowledge my shortcomings, acknowledge, my limitations, and being okay with that, and not beating myself up about it, not condemning myself about it, but being okay about it. Like I said, I think that's the most freeing and liberating thing that you can do for yourself, is to just, accept yourself as you are, but to continue to work on yourself. I think that self-development is absolutely necessary, that we're always in a place, or should be always in a place, where we're growing and we're learning and we're changing and evolving as a person. I think that we should never, ever get to that point. As long as we're here on this earth, there's more work to do. There's more change to do. There's more work on yourself that needs to be done. So I think that self-development is a lifelong process. But what I'm saying is that the time frame that you give yourself to accomplish certain things, and how it has to happen, and when it has to happen, and through whom, and all of those variations, and that we really, cannot control. That's what's unrealistic, So it's, it's good to aspire to be successful. It's good to want to be excellent and do things in excellence. But like I said, at the same time, we're humans. We're not robots. We're not superwomen, although, many of us believe we are. But, accepting your limitations, and even, I would say, embracing your limitations and being okay with that. But still moving forward, still improving on, yourself, but not putting so harsh restrictions on yourself that if you mess up, or if you make a mistake, or you don't reach your goal, that you are just, you go into depression, or you're so stressed out, or you're just so miserable. Those things we should not do to ourselves, okay? So we want to be better. We want to love ourselves. And that comes through, like I said, self-love, and just accepting ourselves, and our limitations, and all the wonderful, beautiful, extraordinary things that is about us. But at the same time, like I said, continuing on in that self-improvement and self-development, so that we can be all that God has called us to be. Okay. So, some examples of external stressors could be like the weather, your environment, like I said, major life changes, divorce, separation, a loss, a job, just those type of major life changes, moving, relocating. Those are some major life changes. And so, with those major life changes are some stress, some stress that's going to come with that. But like I said, proper planning and just being realistic about the whole situation, giving yourself time to adjust. A lot of us don't give ourselves time to adjust. And I think that that's very important. Any type of major change that happens in our life, I think that we should give ourselves time to adjust. Give ourselves time to feel. Not too much time and not drag it out, but allow yourself to go through the process and not try to rush it. You know, there's a saying nowadays that I'm in my feelings. You know, for the most part, kind of allow yourself to be in your feelings, but don't, like I said, don't have an after party, you know, kind of just be in that moment to kind of just acknowledge where you are, but don't get stuck there. Basically, that's what I'm trying to say. Don't get stuck there. It's okay to be in your feelings for a moment, but don't get stuck there. Get up and move on from that place, okay? And so, like I said, so unpredictable events. You know, you can't predict people. People are unpredictable. So I would believe that when you kind of get it in your mind that you can't control people, you'll be a happier, stress-free person. You know, as long as you're trying to control someone else, you're going to be stressed out all the time because people are just unpredictable. And like I said, it's an unrealistic expectation to have of people, okay? Environment, you know, such as the weather, you know, hurricanes, tornadoes, you know, those type of things that go on in environment, who you hang around, where you go, places you go. Some people are, you know, different places may trigger people, you know, so those are some environmental things that can, you know, be a potential stressor. Like I said, your job. And even, you know, being around people. There's some people as introverts. Now, my bestie told me that I am a learned extrovert. So I default to introversion. I've always been an introvert, but just because of, you know, calling and an anointing on my life, it has caused me to be extroverted. I'm more of a people person now. I've always loved people and I've always been friendly. But I'm more outwardly than I am, you know, when I get home, I'm in chill mode, you know, I'm in my introvert mode. When I'm outside my home, I'm like a social butterfly. So, so that's what I mean as far as, I guess, that's what my bestie was talking about when she said that I'm a learned extrovert. I know when to be extroverted, but like I said, my default is introversion. So a lot of times, you know, just with people who are 100% introverts, you know, it's like being, you know, around people, a whole lot of people, or just kind of being in a social scene after, you know, they don't really have a high tolerance for that. Introverts are loners. They don't need to be surrounded by people. You know, they don't need to be in a crowd. They don't need, you know, to have a whole lot of people in their lives. They're okay with that. So that might be, you know, a trigger. You know, if you're an introvert and you're not used to being around a whole lot of people, you don't really care to be around a whole lot of people, and you're put in a situation where you are, that could be a stressor, you know? So, like I said, I believe the best way with external stressors is to kind of, the more you are aware of your triggers, the more you are aware of your stressors, even if it's something that you cannot control. I think just being aware of them, to even be more prepared. I think that, you know, it would help to reduce and even eliminate stress if you knew, you know, ask yourself, you know, why is this stressing me out? What is it about this that brings me stress? What am I feeling, or how does this thing make me feel? And I think even though we may not be able to control the external stressor itself, like I said, we certainly can control our perception about it, how we think about it. We can control the amount of energy we give to it, the amount of attention we give to it, or even the power that we give to it. Like I said, a lot of things, although they're external, they're outside of our realm or sphere of control. We certainly can control this side of it. We can control how we think, how we see it, how we respond to it, and how much we allow it to have an influence or power or control over us, okay? So once again, we're never helpless. We're never in despair. Well, I certainly hope that you were blessed by something that I had said today. And I certainly hope that it was an encouragement and just, you know, helpful for you to understand stress and stressors and even, you know, how to manage your stress appropriately and healthy. Okay. So I just want to wish you the best. And just wish you a wonderful week. Actually, I will be coming back at you on Saturday for Self-Care Saturday, okay? Now, I just would like to let you know, if you are joining me via Hope for Single Mothers Facebook group, ladies, we will be picking this conversation up in our group chat tonight at 8 o'clock. And if you are tuning in via Hope for Single Mothers YouTube channel, thank you so much for your time and your attention. And if you haven't subscribed already, go ahead and click that button. And don't forget to click the bell as well. I would like for you to be notified whenever I upload new videos so that you can continue to follow me and be a part of this great community and tribe, okay? And also, I would love to hear from you. You know, we do have a comment section here in this YouTube channel. It's, you know, I would love to hear your feedback. I would love to, you know, answer any questions that you may have. I would love for you to participate, okay? So don't be shy about it. Go ahead and comment below and I'll be, you know, I'll get back to you. I will certainly answer your questions or, you know, communicate. I'm a communicator. I love to communicate, okay? So thank you so much for joining me via Facebook group and Hope for Single Mothers YouTube channel. I wish you ladies all the best. I wish you have a wonderful, wonderful, great week, and I will check you out, and I'll see you live on Self-Care Saturday, okay? Well, I leave you with love, peace, and blessings. Have an awesome, awesome rest of the week, okay? And don't forget about your stress management, okay? Try to relax and decompress and, you know, just don't take life so seriously. You know, have some fun, just relax. Sometimes, you know, when life gets tough or overwhelming, sometimes you just might need to take a step back. Sometimes you might have to inhale and exhale. Sometimes you may have to walk away. Sometimes you may have to just laugh, you know, just do whatever will bring you comfort and just help you to reduce that stress. You know, like I said, our stress management is our responsibility. Nobody's going to do that, and we shouldn't expect anyone to do that, okay? I want to see you healthy. I want to see you thriving. I believe that is God's will for you to live your best life, to thrive, a healthy mom, or healthy children, you know. And so we want to create an atmosphere for our children where they can thrive because they see us thriving. We want to create an atmosphere for our children where they could be their best because we are our best, both physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, financially, and every other aspect of our lives, okay? But it all starts with you. It starts with you. You have to set the tone in the atmosphere in your household. You have to be the example that your children see so that they will have a great example to follow. Okay? Well, have a wonderful week and I'll catch you on Saturday. Bye-bye.